Hello, LinkedIn family. I hope you are well and enjoying your day, evening, wherever you are. So, if you're watching me at this moment in time, please share your name and your location, and I will display that live with everyone on this stream. It's a very special day today. We are starting a brand new podcast, and it will be a series of this podcast. It will go on, and as long as you would keep engaging with us live on my stream. And this podcast will be in English, Hindi, and Urdu. So we will talk in different languages, in languages that people understand in South Asia. Our friends who live in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Pakistan, India, and even in Europe, where these languages are spoken. So ये दो जबान तीनों जबानों में हम ये सेशन करेंगे, पॉडकास्ट करेंगे, और objective of this podcast and the series of the podcast is to inform our LinkedIn family, my LinkedIn family, about opportunities in Canada and how do you avail those opportunities. And to do this, I have the honor of joining hand or collaborating with a very dear friend of mine, Abdullah Bilal. Abdullah is a GTA-based regulated immigration consultant, a phenomenal person. I've known him for a few years now, and he is just great. So Zeba is asking, "Where are you, sir?" So we are based in Canada. My name is Hamas Siddiqui. I am based in Canada. So is Abdullah Bilal. I am bringing Abdullah live now, and we will start chat with him, and we'll try to understand what are some of the things that are changing as far as the immigrant fabric is concerned, or the ecosystem is concerned in Canada, and how can you avail these opportunities? So here you go. Hello, Abdullah.
Hello, Mathab.
Thank you very much for joining in. बहुत शुक्रिया आपने ज्वाइन इन किया हमको.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the very kind words.
So as I said, we did some video sessions last year, but because of certain technical issues, we had to stop. We didn't have LinkedIn Live at that time, for instance,
That's
but
correct.
now we have LinkedIn Live, and we can actually talk to our audience right there, then and there, live. So uh, my um my first question to you is, if somebody is looking to migrate to Canada, what are 4 or 5 things that are really, really essential before you even start talking to a regulated immigration consultant? That's my first question. Follow-up question is, why a regulated immigration consultant? Why people cannot just go to any consultant? I mean, there are tons of consultants in India, Pakistan, Dubai, Qatar, Saudi. You pick up a stone and you'll find an immigration consultant. But those are not, well, most of the time they are not regulated immigration consultants. So these
Right.
are the two questions that I would like to start with. Um, Over to you, Abdul.
Thank you. So, both of these questions I think are very good questions, and I can go on and on talking about why you should go with somebody who's regulated, either a consultant or a lawyer, versus somebody who's not. But before we get into this, I'd just like to briefly, talk about 2020. The year 2020, and I'm so glad that it's behind us. The whole world was impacted by the COVID and COVID related restrictions and travel restrictions, and Canada was no different. I mean, Canada has been impacted very severely from the pandemic and the restrictions, and this has impacted every aspect and every facet of life here in Canada, including immigration. And I'm sure everyone knows that immigration is such an important aspect of Canadian economy and foreign policy, and that it is simply not possible to put a pause on immigration. I mean, it's not possible, it's not feasible for Canada to just pause immigration for a couple of years, while they sort out maybe, the pandemic, the fallout of the pandemic. So in 2020, we saw that a lot of, like the federal skilled worker, for example, and permanent residents, or people whose permanent residence was approved, but they were outside of Canada and they were not able to land in Canada. We saw that, that group of people was affected. A lot of them were not able to land in 2020 because of the travel restrictions. Things are improving now, and I mean, today is actually, as Hamad Saab, I'm sure today is the first day here in Ontario that the patios are opening, and we are, the restrictions have been lifted a little bit, and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel almost. So I mean, I'm sure this will translate into immigration as well. I mean, I'm sure we are going to see, the same levels of in terms of processing times and in terms of the number of applications that are processed very shortly. I'm very confident that things will go back to maybe not 100%, but very close to 100% very soon. So I mean, in 2021, half of this year almost is behind us. What we have seen here in Canada is that, the government has gone after the people who are already in Canada. So they've been doing draws. The draws have not stopped, but they've been focusing on people who are already in Canada, whether that is through the Canada Experience Class, whether that is through some new programs, the new, temporary residents to permanent residence program, the TR to PR pathway. Again, focusing exclusively on people who are already in Canada. So for the remainder of this year, I do see, and I hope that, the federal skilled worker program for people who are outside of Canada, I hope that, there is a resumption in that program, in that stream, and draws are, the draws resume targeting people who are outside of Canada. So that was just a brief background, a backdrop to, what your questions were related to. And I mean, in terms of your first question, what are the few things or some of the things that people can do to prepare themselves? I think the number one thing they can do, first of all, is be ready to commit. I mean, I get so many queries every day, LinkedIn, Facebook, on my phone. People who are just like, oh, I have this is my background, what are my chances? What can I do? What are my, and it really surprises me. I mean, in this day and age, when all the information is at your fingertips, surely that, for any stream to Canada, you need, a WES assessment, you need IELTS. These are two things which you need regardless of what stream, you are looking at applying under. I'm talking about the immigration streams. Even for study permit, you do need the IELTS. You need the IELTS academic, but you do need it. So it really surprises me that, people still, they haven't started that process, but they want to talk about, step 6. You haven't done the, homework to start at step 1, but you are worried about, step 5 or step 6.
So I think you're absolutely right, Abdullah. Whenever I interact, so I'm not a regulated immigration consultant, which means that by Canadian law, I cannot talk about immigration. So I can share my opinions, but I cannot give any suggestions or any kind of advice on immigration. I can only share my experience and something that I've heard. And exactly this is what I hear too. I want to come to Canada. I have no money. I have no English skills. I have no education and no experience. I mean, okay, I'm just over exaggerating it.
Sure.
But this is what it is, right? The lack of preparation. And, so I love talking to people, and I try to kind of tell them, okay, this may not be the right approach, to put it mildly. And when I ask them, okay, have you done your IELTS? No. Have you got your, so this is purely from the immigration, have you got your degree, equivalence done? No. And when you start talking to them, you would realize, I always realize, that they actually have done tons of research before talking to me. and by failing from all other sources, now they want to talk to me, but they don't want to open up. So this is again an interesting thing that I see all the time from people who connect with me and try to get my insights into this whole thing. The other big thing that I would like to hear from you before we move to the regulated immigration consultant and versus the under the stone immigration consultant, as I call them.
Hello.
There was a blip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is कि हम regulated immigration consultant versus under the stone immigration consultant पे बात करेंगे later on. But मुझे आप basically बताइए, so काफी सारे लोग हमारे साथ connected हैं और सवाल भी पूछ रहे हैं, and we will take your questions. Believe me, we will take your questions. If the question has a value, which means that if you yes, Asad, video was paused, but it was a blip, internet blip, but I'm sure it's okay now. Uh, we will respond to your question if the question has a value, which means that you are asking something which has a value in it. Otherwise, the other, I mean, rest of information is available on Google if you Google it. So, मेरा बड़ा basic question है. I'm based in wherever, like I'm in Dubai, Saudi, Qatar, India, Bangladesh, wherever. I want to migrate to Canada. Before even looking at my qualifications and IELTS, how much money do you think I should keep in mind? What could be a ballpoint expense as an individual applying for Canadian immigration? Because if I have everything, but if I don't have money, I can't migrate. There could be some other things, but I cannot apply under the normal immigration stream. तो वो बताइए आप कितने पैसे
Right.
चाहिए आपको in terms of Canadian dollars एक इंडिविजुअल के लिए कि वो ये सोचे कि अब मैं अप्लाई कर सकता हूँ.
Right. So, Ahmad sir, let's take this, a step at a time. Let's just, इसको हम step wise लेके चलते हैं, and so that we don't get ahead of ourselves too much. So, just briefly going back to what we were discussing. I mean, the first thing that, like, you were saying is that you have to be willing to commit to it. You have to be like, okay, isme, I'm going to spend some time, I'm going to spend some, maybe money. It's going to take some effort for me to, commit to it. You cannot do research for 3 months and then, just be at the same spot. कि आप जो है जहां खड़े हैं वहीं खड़े रह गए और आप आगे नहीं जा रहे. You have all the research, but you haven't taken any steps, towards your goal, which is to immigrate to Canada. Number one, so commit करें. I mean, बोले ठीक है, this is something that I want to explore and I'm ready to take the next step. Number one. Number two, एक और चीज before I move on to answering your question directly. Don't look for guarantees. ये जितने लोग मुझे करते हैं वो they are looking for guarantees कि ये है. There are no guarantees. Nobody can guarantee you anything. आपको अप्लाई करना होगा. आपको you have to take that risk. You have to take that chance. If you meet all the requirements, if you have all the documents, if your profile meets the criteria of a particular stream, of a particular program, yes, most likely you will be successful. But don't look for guarantees. There are no guarantees. I cannot give you guarantees. Nobody. हमारे part of the world में एक tendency है that people, keep moving from one person to the next, looking for guarantees. Now, जो बंदा उनको कह दो, oh, I'll get this done for you, I'll get you this, I'll get you that. They go with that person without realizing that there is absolutely no one in this world who can guarantee you a result as far as Canadian immigration is concerned. Right? So don't look for guarantees. तो ये तो दो हमने बातें establish कर ली.
एक आपकी चीज पे मैं I would like to add on to this just a small story.
Right.
So a friend of mine who used to work at Standard Chartered Bank in Pakistan, he wanted to migrate to New Zealand. Like I'm talking about like 20 years ago.
Okay.
I was working at the British Consulate's office at that time, and we would meet and we would go out for fishing or whatever. And he would always say, we really want to migrate to Canada because we have some, to New Zealand, we have some relatives. And I said, if you keep saying that you want to migrate to New Zealand, you will keep saying it for the next 5, 10, 15 years. But if you really want to migrate, you have to start from somewhere. You have to start the documentation process, the process.
Right.
And if you don't do that, next year, summer, you will be saying the same thing. Because, in summer, in our countries, we have power outage and all that, so people get frustrated. He took my point. He invested everything, the time and the energy and money. He is based in New Zealand now. He has got 3 nationalities. He's got the New Zealander nationality. He moved to Standard Chartered Bank. He got a brilliant job in the brilliance in New Zealand. Transferred to Australia and worked in Australia. Got Australian citizenship also and a Pakistani citizenship.
Okay.
Now, to think about it. So, had he been only thinking about it, he would not have achieved what he wanted to achieve. Very satisfied. Kids are grown up, happy. Now, the thing is, the action drives your destiny. If you don't take any action, just by attending these webinars or reaching out to consultants would not make any difference. You will still be there, stuck in wherever you are stuck in. You have to define what your resources are, define what you can do, and then you move on. Then you move on, and again, do not look for guarantees. Nobody
Right.
can give you guarantees. The process is there. Immigration, regulated immigration consultant understands how the process works. And if I'm not a doctor, I can mess up with somebody, right? And a regulated immigration consultant exactly knows where the right pain points are, what are the things that people should do. And Abdullah, remember we had a potential client who messed up with uh, uh, his sister's application, and after refusal, he came to us, and we could not
Yes.
do anything. Had he
Right.
spent at that time some money and took you on board, things would have been different.
Right. So, Ahmad Sahib, I mean, that's my point exactly. That, so many times I see people coming to me and they are either looking for, some sort of a guarantee that, I want to do something in which, I will end up with permanent residence or whatever it is that they're looking for a study permit or whatever it is they're looking for. And the best that any lawyer or any consultant can do for you is prepare the best possible file for you, the best possible case for you, and submit it. Any visa office or visa officer or whoever is adjudicating upon that application, go through everything. And if we have made a good case, if we've submitted all the documents, if we've covered everything, there is no reason why we will not be successful. But again, I cannot give you a guarantee. I cannot say that 100% this will get approved. In fact, by law, I cannot do that. I'm a regulated consultant, and our regulatory body specifically prohibits us from giving guarantees. So I cannot even do that. Number one. And moving on, briefly to talk about what are some of the things people can do to prepare themselves is, I would really like to sort of, emphasize the fact that immigration is integral, to Canada's future. So, and because of the pandemic, because of this almost year and a half long pandemic and the havoc that it has caused, I think this is a fantastic time for people to think about immigrating to Canada, because a lot of a lot of the people who've joined us may already know that Canada was set to welcome more than 1 million immigrants, in these 3 years, 2021, 2022, and 2023. And the annual quota it's going to increase every year. So from 400,000, roughly about 400,000, it would go all the way up to, I believe, 420,000 per year. So this, to me, is, if I were to look at it, I would look at it as an opportunity. And what can you do to prepare yourself? What can you do to, seize this opportunity? Is number one, like I said, get your documentation in order. Get your education degrees assessed. That assessment is valid for 5 years. So you are done for the next 5 years. Number one. Number two, take the language test, the IELTS. That is valid for 2 years. So you are done for the next 2 years. Once you have those 2 documents, at least then we have a very good idea of what points you have, what streams you might qualify for, I can advise you. I can tell you that, okay, maybe we can look at this stream, we can look at that program, we can do this, we can do that. But if I don't know, what your language test result is, what your WES assessment is, it will only be speculation. I can only guess. If you get this, then you can do this. If you get this, then you can do that. So that's that's one of the main things that you can do. Now, again, going back to that story of that client who messed up their application, and then, getting the right advice at the right time is critical. If you decide to do this process yourself, a great job. I mean, if you feel confident enough, and if you think that, you'll be able to handle it, that's amazing. Do it yourself. But if you are not going to do it yourself and you do need some help, or whatever it is, you don't have the time, or you don't feel confident, or maybe it's something which is a little bit more complicated, you have previous refusals or something like that, make sure that you are getting advice from the right person. And the step one is making sure that person is licensed. That person is either a regulated consultant or a lawyer here in Canada. Make sure that that person is authorized to give you advice. I mean, if you go to ghost, so we call people who are not licensed ghost consultants. So if you just go to like a consultant down the road from you, somewhere in Asia, in the Middle East, wherever, and that person is not licensed, that person has no skin in the game. I mean, if he gives you the wrong advice, or something happens and your application is refused, or something happens, he'll just turn around and say, sorry, your application was refused, and it is what it is. There's nothing you can do. I mean, who are you going to, let's say that person was negligent. Let's say that person made a mistake. Let's say that person did something which ended up, in you getting a refusal, or worse, getting, some misrepresentation findings against you or something like that. There is nothing you can do against that person. Nothing. But if that person was licensed, if he is a regulated consultant, you can go to the regulatory body, and there are recourses, there are options available to you if the person has, messed up your application or has been negligent. So that's number one. I mean, this is to protect yourself. This is not for any other thing or about money or what. You are protecting yourself. So that's the number one reason why you should first make sure that that person is licensed to give advice. And then, I mean, again, Ahmad Saab, I can go on and on about this. Just a very brief story, this lady, she got in touch with me from Dubai. And she said that, so she was a permanent resident, and she had been, outside of Canada for a long time, and her PR card had expired. And, so she was looking to apply for a travel document. So she went to an unlicensed consultant in Dubai who advised her to fake her days in Canada. Who said that, you only have, let's say, 200 days, 300 days in Canada, or 400 days in Canada. You should, show that you have 800 days in Canada or something like that. And they prepared the application that way. And, she just, she spoke with someone and they said that, why don't you get a second opinion? This sounds like something which is very dangerous. Why don't you get a second opinion? And she was referred to me and she came to me. I could not believe that she was almost ready to submit that application, because she didn't realize that, she could, like the consequences of misrepresenting yourself, and the IRCC actually, finding out that you are misrepresenting yourself and you've submitted an application with misleading information or outright, fraudulent information. So it is in the client's best interest that they go to somebody who's licensed. And then obviously, I mean, I do this for a living. I file immigration applications every day. So obviously, I'm updated. I know what's going on. I know, how to sort of the supporting documentation, how to submit the supporting documentation, what extra evidence you can give in certain cases. So obviously, somebody who's doing it day in, day out is always going to be in a better position to, to make a very compelling case for you.
Absolutely. So here I would just request you to take a breath, Abdullah. So thank you very much. And again, just to kind of reassure what you just said, is that becoming a regulated immigration consultant is not easy. So you have to actually take a course and then pass an exam and keep yourself updated
That's correct.
with the laws and the regulations, and think the practices that are out there in that whole immigration ecosystem. If you don't do that, you will lose your license.
That's correct.
Okay, so which means that it's like doctor's license. When you become a doctor, then you keep upgrading your knowledge and skills, and you keep going back to the medical regulatory authority and keep your registration you'll have to revalidate, get it revalidated. It's something like that. So no, great, Abdullah, and so many such cases in front of us that we hear, sitting in Canada all the time. I know a lot of these unregulated immigration consultants mess up so badly. A friend of mine, his cousin, who was a city banker, a very senior level banker, the whole family got immigration. They had all those farewell parties and everything. They sold everything they had back home, everything, their house, their car, everything, and packed up and landed in Canada. And they denied entry because uh, later on, immigration office found some fraudulent documents in their application, and their visas stood cancelled at the time. So by the time they left and the letter they received was a lag in between, because letter takes a little bit longer, like 2 weeks or whatever.
Right.
To And then the letter also went to the consultant because consultant did not give their address. It was consultant's address, and they flew in. They flew in and they were denied entry at the port. Now think about these people who sold everything. The guy left his career job as a senior city banker, and they were only allowed to come in for a week to decide whether they want to fight the case or not. And they were told that they were fraudulent documents. So in that case, they reached out to this consultant. Obviously, the consultant was not available. So ultimately, uh, they were technically deported, right? Because all their papers were kept by the immigration document. Now they cannot come again to Canada, never ever. And so the stakes are high when you're taking these decisions. So you have to be careful. Abhishek, there are some questions, and
Sure.
to I would like all the participants to please ask more questions. अगर आपके पास और कुछ सवाल हैं तो प्लीज पूछें, और हम उसके जवाब देने की कोशिश करेंगे जितने भी दे सके. और आप कमेंट्स में बाहर क्वेश्चन डाल सकते हैं, एंड यू कैन ऑल्सो follow up with next session, which will be next Friday at the same time, and we will announce it the way we announced it. Please keep following our posts and keep joining our sessions, because there will be tons of learning. Only what we just told you about issues that people face if they are misrepresented or have included some fraudulent documents into their application. It's just that piece is phenomenal. Now you get, and I'm sure you get this kind of questions. Electrical engineer, no experience, whatever, blah blah blah. Uh, you know, Job availability, PRship. So what I tell people is, unless you are out of this world and there is no one like you available in Canada to do a certain job, forget it. You will not. You should not really be pursuing it. It's very, very difficult. It's just not possible. You have to be here to get the job. That's the practical approach. Then people would again go back and ask these questions. This is the reality is that you are educated, and if you get a job offer, then it adds to your points. But getting a job offer is the condition is that you have to be out of this world. So you have to decide whether you are out of this world or not. If you're out of this world, then reach out to companies and see if they treat you out of this world and are willing to offer you a job. And then we can you can discuss whether the regulated immigration consultant or these companies would hire an immigration consultant to have your case processed. Another question: Fresh graduate food engineer, it is possible to hire me for job. Similar question. If you cannot be hired in the country you are in, forget Canada because the standards are very high. Okay, let's see. Bachelor's in water engineering, you speak French, English, and Arabic. So you have little bit better chances on the league, on the score, because of your French and English knowledge. You are trilingual, but French and English will give you. But that is also you have to appear in that test. You have to. How many numbers would somebody of this experience, roughly would require in their test, Abdullah?
So just a few things, Amasa. Let me just briefly talk about the job offer thing because a lot of people contact me and they say, is it possible for me to find a job in Canada? Can I find a job in Canada? You are very right in saying that you have to be somebody truly exceptional, and by that I mean that your skills have to be in demand in Canada. So, for example, there is this program in Canada. It's called the GTA, Global Talent Stream, and it focuses on IT, people and IT jobs and people who are in the field of information technology, and it has certain jobs under that stream. And if you can find an employer here who's willing to hire you, who's willing to sponsor you, then the processing times are very short and you can be in Canada very quickly. So unless you fall under one of those job categories, unless your experience and whatever it is, your skill set, your knowledge base falls into one of those categories and those job descriptions, it is going to be very difficult for you to find a job here in Canada. Doesn't matter who you are, what your experience is, because you have to understand, for a Canadian employer to hire someone from outside of Canada, it has to be, exceptional circumstances. Why would they hire somebody from outside of Canada, go through the very expensive, sponsorship process, get an LMIA for you, hire somebody to do the LMIA, to do the work permit? Why would they do it for you? So unless, you fall under that very specific stream, the global talent stream and, IT related professions under that stream, it is going to be very difficult for you. And, my advice to those people would be to focus more on, other options and other streams. Number one. Number two, I'm just going through the comments here. So, if any one of you, you want more detailed assessment of your profile, or if you want to get in touch with me, you can, add me on LinkedIn, send me a message through there, or, you can get in touch with Hamad Saab and, he will forward the query to me. So that is one way of getting in touch with me. But I just want to sort of, Hamad Saab, and we've talked about this, so many times, you have to value somebody's time. I cannot, like I was saying, I get, tens of queries every day related to Canadian immigration. I cannot, respond to all queries and give you detailed assessments for free. I only have, like every human on this planet, I only have, 24 hours in a day, out of which I hope to work between 6 to 8 hours every day. And if I start responding to everyone on LinkedIn and doing detailed assessments for free, that would be it. I would not have time to do anything else. If you are serious and if you really want to discuss your options, you want a detailed assessment, you want me to go through your documents, go through your profile, you have to book a paid consultation with me. If it's something very basic, if it's like a one-line answer or something which is very basic, it's not going to take me, more than a few minutes to answer, I'm more than happy to help you on LinkedIn. In fact, I do that on a daily basis. But if it's something more detailed, if you want like a detailed assessment, don't just message me and say, what are my chances? That's not a question with a, short answer. What are your chances? I have to go through all your profile, your documents, what streams are available, what is your background, what is your spouse's background. I have to evaluate everything. So this is not a question which I can just answer in 2 minutes. And if I do answer in 2 minutes, that's probably not going to be the right advice. Because obviously I don't know what your profile is. So just a side note to that. Jobs we've talked about that, it's going to be very difficult for you to find an employer here who's going to be, willing to sponsor you and go through that process and hire you. It takes time. I mean, even if you do, I mean, it's going to take time to get the LMIA application, processed and approved. Then it's going to take time for you to apply for a work permit. The work permit processing will take time. What you have to think about it that way. What makes you so special that the employer is going to be willing to wait all these months for you, right? So unless you have that kind of a profile where you are like the top 0.5% of the top 1%, it's going to be very difficult. Information tech IT professionals, it's a different story. You do have options available, and I mean there are people here, and there are people in my network or companies here who might be able to help you find something. But everyone who's outside of IT, my suggestion would be to look at other options.
Yes. So no, thank you very much. And I've got, like, probably you are also scrolling down on these comments. A lot of these comments are related to what I call unquote queries. Number one, so you're half cooked. People really do not know what the direction would be. The other is mostly about the job opportunities, and you have already addressed very nicely to everyone that is asking about job and LIMA. There is one question from Ravini Taliwal. She is in India. Her brother is. She's one of my clients also. She's taking my course on LinkedIn optimization, and this is what she says. So, I mean, is there a quick, like 1 minute response to her, Abdullah?
Yeah, so Ravneet, what I would again say is that, first of all, I would have to see the notes, right? I would have to see what the notes say. Also, I mean, you said the student visa has been rejected and you've got the refusal 3 times. So obviously there is something which is not being addressed, right? So I don't know your case. I have not seen your documents. I have not seen your notes. I don't know anything. But from what you are saying, it appears that there is something in your profile or the reason for refusing your application, or there is something which is not being addressed. I would encourage you to get in touch with me, share your documents with me, and then I'll be in a much better position to tell you what I think is going on. Because if you've been refused 3 times, of course there is something that that is causing these refusals, and it's not being addressed. So again, like I said, get in touch with me through LinkedIn, get in touch with Hamad Saab if you are in his network, and he will forward it to me, and I can definitely take a look. But again, I mean, without going through your notes, without going through your profile, your documents, I really cannot comment on what the reason might be.
And when just to clarify this, when Abdullah says notes, these are notes made by immigration officer.
That's correct.
On your file, and regulated immigration consultants with your authority can have access to those notes.
That's correct.
Something a lot of people do not know. So if you have a regulated immigration consultant authorized to work with you or approved to work with you, that immigration consultant can actually have access to those notes that immigration officers make on the files. This is public information, but accessible only to immigration officers. So thanks for this. This is a good question. I would think Asad Iqbal asking, pathway for 39 years, I spent 8, express entry profile 412.
So again, I mean, for something like this, there is going to be some element of, a leap of faith here. Like I said, that Canada is going to be opening up soon, right? And as I've said multiple times, and I say everywhere, immigration is critical to Canada. So with a score of 412 a year ago or before the pandemic, I would have definitely said that your chances are low, because the cutoff score, as most of you already know, was around 470. So if you are sitting at 412, obviously it was going to be difficult for you to get the invite. Having said that, I mean, a year and a half of these restrictions, pandemic-related restrictions, and the fact that Canada has a very, very ambitious immigration plan. The targets are going to rise, and the quota is going to rise every year. You never know. I mean, you never know. There might be some stream which opens up in next month or in 3 months or 4 months. Maybe the provinces they start doing bigger draws. Maybe the federal government does bigger draws. I mean, we just saw, or actually we've been seeing for the last few months that these Canada Experience class draws, the score keeps plummeting. There was a draw yesterday or a day or a few days ago, and I believe the cutoff score was like 365 or 368. That would have been absolutely inconceivable, 2 years ago or a year and a half ago before the pandemic, where the score was consistently around 470. So then you have to take a leap of faith. You have to submit your profile in whatever stream you can apply under, express entry or some provincial program that lets you submit an application. A lot of the provincial programs are linked to express entry, where they actually require you to have an express entry profile, and then depending on which province you are looking at, there's a process. You either fill out another application or whatever it is. So, when you say what are the chances, I mean, that the chances are going to be limited, right? Because, I mean, your score is 412 and, you're slightly older than, the sort of ideal age that the immigration system or the process is looking for. So your chances are going to be low, and this is going to be a leap of faith. No guarantees, no certainties. But if you really want to roll the dice and you want to see what happens, again, get in touch. We can talk about what streams are available for you and how you can apply.
And it's so nice. You just put it so nicely, Abdullah, that people give up too soon, right? And they may just be like inch away from that winning stride, right? And they give up. Um, and I've seen people who don't give up and continue, and they find ways to do things. I'm not talking only about the immigration, but other things in their lives. So your achievements really are directly proportionate to how much strategic efforts you want to put in. And if you don't want to put in any efforts and you're just asking, then nothing is going to happen. So you have to ask, and you have to have somebody who is an expert on board to be able to guide you. And this
Right.
that's why if we see all the successful entrepreneurs have at least one mentor, like they are millionaires or billionaires, but they would have at least one mentor to work with him. So and that mentor does not come for free. So yeah, please, Asad, if you are interested, you can either directly get in touch with Abdullah or get in touch with
Sorry,
me.
Amasam, I'm just going to sort of, I see the comment here, not chances. I asked what's the best possible pathway. So, I mean, that is what I'm actually was trying to say. That in terms of, discussing the particular options of a client, that what's the best way to do this, what's the best pathway, you or whoever you're asking advice from needs to see the whole profile. I need to see the documents. I need to see your scores. I need to see your background. Yes, you have mentioned it in your questions here what your background is. The pathways are the same for everyone. For you, for somebody who's 30 years old, for somebody who's 33 years old, the pathways are the same. It's express entry and it's provincial nomination programs which let you apply either outside of express entry, like the SIMP occupations in demand stream, which does not require an express entry profile, or all those provincial programs which are linked to express entry. So the pathways are the same. There are no special pathways for certain people or a different pathway if you are younger or you have a master. The pathways are the same: express entry or provincial nomination programs. So it just depends on what your profile is, what your background is, what your work experience is in, whether it's IT, non-IT, engineering, finance, and then maybe we can sort of guide you a little on what streams you should look at and what streams you should target. But the pathways are the same for everyone.
Absolutely. And all the initial information is available on CIC website. It's just a matter of how do you decode that information and proceed. The advantage of having a regulated immigration consultant is that a regulated immigration consultant is qualified to help you understand what the best possibilities are out there for you. So thank you very much, Tanveer. Tanveer Kazmi is also an immigration consultant, regulated immigration consultant based in Toronto. Thanks for joining in, Tanveer. Yes, Walaikum Salam. Uh, Overall cost. So I will add one more question, well, situation to this. So while we are discussing, people are of course sending me like DMs also. One person has just sent me a DM, and his issue is that $13,000 that you need to show you have as supporting amount to be able to apply or go to the next level, and that money is not there with this gentleman, and he was asking me, um, uh, is there a way around? And I said, no, there is no way around. You have to show that money. In fact, you have to show that money when you land here at the port of entry also. So with that and this one, what is your quick suggestion, Abdullah?
Regarding the money issue,
Money issue, we know that you have to have
right?
it. Uh, this
I mean,
overall.
I'm a little hesitant to talk about costs and all of that because, again, it depends on what stream, what your application was under, whether it's federal skilled worker, whether it's Canada experience, whether you are in Canada, outside of Canada. Let's take Canada experience class, for example. You don't need to show any settlement funds, right? There's no requirement of settlement funds for Canada experience class. But if you are, a federal skilled worker from outside of Canada, of course, you need to show settlement funds, and it's different. I mean, if you are single, for example, the amount is different. If you are married, it's different. If you've got kids, how many kids, the number of your the number of your family members. So I'm a little hesitant in talking about, how much it, and also, I mean, I believe people might be they might be sort of looking for like how much it costs in terms of like the consultant fees and the and application costs. I mean, it's different, right? I mean, it's different. Different consultants charge different fee. The application fee is something that you have to look at because it's significant, especially if you are married and you have children. Then obviously you are paying application fees for every member of the family, and that can really add up. In addition to that, you might have to show settlement funds that you have the money which is needed to support yourself here in Canada. So I really, I don't think I can sort of, give you an answer which is like, one size fits all kind of answer. It depends on what your situation is, what your circumstances are. And, if you don't have the settlement funds, then unfortunately you won't be able to sort of, qualify. I mean, that is one of the reasons that is one of the criteria. So, I mean, that is something that you need to meet. So there is no way around it, unfortunately.
Yeah, great. Uh, this question is from Hafiz. He's appearing in exams. Uh, Again, people talk about possibilities. It's just, and Abdullah, you have rightly mentioned earlier in your very detailed explanation that you have to look forward and, given the circumstances, apply. If you don't apply, then you would not know whether you have possibilities or not. Or before applying, speak to a consultant, a regulatory consultant who can actually suggest the way forward or tell you whether you should apply or whether there are no chances. As you rightly said, Canada is opening up only today in Ontario, which is huge. The shops have opened up with limited capacities. And believe me, we went out, that was the reason I spoke to you a little late. We went out because I knew that there is going to be inundated. People will just scores and scores come to the shops. And my wife wanted to buy something. So we actually went at 10 a.m. To our plaza and we wanted to buy a few things. And the staff in that shop had gone crazy. They did not have enough resources, the staff resources to manage it, which means that the opportunities, like maybe like survival job opportunities or part-time job opportunities, will be in very large number because there are fewer immigrants coming in. They will be opening up, and when the retail sector opens up, the manufacturing sector automatically gets a queue for manufacturing more. It's so simple. So the opportunities will be bigger, which means that uh, the outlook is that there may be opening up more and more spots for immigrants to come in. This is what we say. Um You can either look at Abdullah's profile, he's already tagged on the post, or you can contact me for further details. Kambar, I'm not sure why you shared your profile. I don't know what support you need. Um, Maybe we don't know. All right, we will not contact you. You have to contact us. Uh, no, I mean generally no. Now, if somebody is asking me this question, Canada job के लिए is लाजमी है? Uh, I mean, if I'm an immigration consultant, I will not even respond to this question. So, Zoeb, you have to ensure that you are not prepared, unfortunately. Uh, this question, scope, stream, we don't know. Abdullah has to look at your case.
Sorry, I'm just again, Masab, you're absolutely right. I just want to, add to what you're saying. So again, Aisha, I mean, you're asking me, is there any bright future in scope for this stream in Canada? So now, you see, how can I comment on that? You're asking me if aeronautical engineers are. This is what I understand from your question. So if this is not what you mean, my apologies. But if this is what you're asking, that if there is any scope for aeronautical engineers in Canada, I mean, how can anybody comment on that? I mean, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I mean, I'm not from this field, and you would that question would best be answered by somebody who is an aeronautical engineer in Canada, and they can tell you what the scope is. But I mean, why worry about that? Why worry about if there is a opportunity for that, or why worry about something which is 5 years down the line? I mean, there is opportunity in every field. I mean, if you are willing to sort of work hard, and if you are willing to sort of adapt yourself, if you are willing to sort of make sure that you are following the developments in your field, and you are pivoting as the needs or as the times demand. I mean, you have to be flexible, you have to be able to pivot. There is opportunity in every field. So I mean, from your question, it sounds like you're just starting your career. Why worry about opportunities at this point in your career? You've chosen a field, you've gotten a degree, and just be prepared to work hard, and sort of specialize in something. And there's opportunity for everyone in every field. It just depends on how focused you are. That's just my 10 cents on that question.
This is like 90 cents, Abdullah. This is not 10 cents. And three people on this screen at the moment, we all have pivoted. I pivoted, you pivoted, and Samia Zafar, I'm showing her comment. Samia, thanks for joining in. She pivoted. She's a physician by degree. She came to Canada and she pivoted, and she turned into an ATS resume writer and interview coach, and she is doing phenomenally. You were a lawyer back home. You came here and you pivoted. You became a regulated immigration consultant. I pivoted. I'm an economist by degree and by profession, and I pivoted into a LinkedIn coach. And we all are satisfied and happy the way we are. See, it's a very different mindset when you are in Canada, in North America, as compared to wherever you are in the rest of the world. So you have to experience that. So Samia, thank you very much for commenting. Rahid, absolutely. The best way is to either approach Abdullah directly through his LinkedIn, or reach out to me if you are my first degree connection, and I will be happy to connect you with Abdullah to take your conversation forward. That's fine. Anybody can contact whoever they want to contact. It's a free thing. But honestly, Abdullah, it does not look nice to market yourself on somebody else's podcast. If you want to be part of it, please come and join us. But I won't delete your comment, by the way. I don't know what this is. All right. So this is a great question. Abdullah, would you like to?
Sure. So again, Ronnie, and my apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. But please get in touch with me. There is a stream which is available. There is a pathway. There is a program which you might qualify for. Obviously, depending on the size of your company and what you are looking at doing, and a few other things. So please get in touch with me through LinkedIn, and we can take this forward. We can do a consultation. I can go through your profile, your company details, what you are looking to do, what your objectives are, and we can then take this forward. So just get in touch with me, and we can take it from there. That's a great question, by the way.
Yes. So please, Ronnie, get in touch with Abdullah directly, and be prepared to pay his fee, by the way, because he's a regulated immigration consultant, to take your case and help you do whatever you want to do. Last question today, again, I would call it a very good question, because he thought that even if you have low score, you can still file in the application. And I know, Abdullah, a lot of people do that. A lot of consultants do that. They take money to create a profile, even if they know that the qualifying number is pretty high, and you just do that. And somebody like him with low ICE score, 40 age, um, I mean, we don't know what the employment rate.
Right. So, something that I see from what this gentleman has shared with us is, for the federal skilled worker, you need to have a CLB 7 for the language requirement. So maybe his IELTS score or in one of the modules it does not meet that requirement of a CLB 7. So that is something which may be preventing him from submitting his profile in the system, in the express entry system. So that is something that I can see straight away from the information that he has. I would look at the language scores and the requirement, and I would see whether your language score, your IELTS score in every module meets that requirement of a CLB 7. So that is something that I can look at straight away. But when it says finally it shows you are not eligible for EE, judging from the information that he's shared, I think the language requirement might be, maybe he's not meeting the language requirement.
Yes, great. So which means that you'll have to work on your language requirements before you could actually work on that. So you're already 57 minutes in the session, and we can go on forever. Maybe last question, but again, these questions will remain as questions if you do not take action on what Abdullah suggested. So Marwa says, great
Thank
session.
you,
Thank you
Marwa.
very much. Obviously, when we are listening to a great speaker, a lawyer's voice, not every lawyer has the voice and the pitch that Abdullah has, and the passion that Abdullah puts in behind his comments. So this is what. So I really love listening to him. His pitch and the voice and the passion, all that put together makes him really a fascinating person to listen to. Uh, so 42, somebody of that sort. What do you think? Again, you've already addressed this, but maybe just last question very quickly.
Right. So Komal, that's a great score. Congratulations. That's a fantastic score. So you just wait. Just a matter of time with you. Whenever they start, doing draws for people who are outside of Canada, and they resume the federal skilled worker draws, I'm pretty sure that you are going to get the invite, and you after that you should be in Canada. Hopefully, in a matter of months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. Whatever the processing times look like at that point. But that's a great score. It's just a matter of time for you. And in terms of, the chances of you getting a job in Canada, again, there are so many different things, so many different aspects of your profile that, nobody can comment on, what your chances are of getting a job here. It depends on so many different things. And for that, I would recommend, Hamad Siddiqui. He's probably the best person to talk to in terms of what your chances are and what you can do to enhance your profile, what you can do to enhance, your skill set and the way you project it here in Canada. So I would actually recommend, Hamad Siddiqui here. Get in touch with him. utilize his services, and he will guide you guide you very well on how you can improve your chances of finding a job here in Canada. But your score is really good. You are what I think you are definitely going to get the invite whenever there's a draw next, and you have a good background. Your skill set is in demand in Canada. It's just a matter of time for you. Just keep the faith and discuss your strategy, your job hunt strategy, and how you can do that with Hamad.
Yes, so thank you, Abdullah, for mentioning it. So, Komal, if you're still with us, and anybody who is with us and is in the process of applying or has applied for Canadian immigration, there are three essential things when you land here would be required to get the as we call hit the road running. These three things are your ATS resume, your LinkedIn optimized profile so that recruiters could search you. I'm not talking about how beautiful your profile is. I'm talking about how optimized your profile is, because it's a recruiter-driven market. But they don't usually have recruiters. They outsource their recruitment process. Even government outsource recruitment to recruiters. And the third one is your network. If you have these three, then the chances are better. If you don't have these three, then there are a lot of survival jobs. And once somebody is in the survival jobs, I see people sticking to that job for very long because you don't get anywhere beyond that. Asad, I don't know. I really can't understand what question is. Abdullah, do you have any consultant who can contact us from Canada and guide us the way to reach Canada? Uh, Abdullah, I don't know if you can make out anything of this question, or I mean,
Asad, I understand you're looking for a consultant. I'm based in Canada. Ahmad Saab is based in Canada. You can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and tell me what you're looking for, and maybe we can, just take it from there. I'm based in Canada. If that is what you're looking for.
yeah. We both are based in Canada, by the way. We both are based in Canada, only 2 hours apart from each other. Abdullah is towards the west, I am towards the east, and this is how it is. Yes, why not? I mean, if you qualify, there is no restriction from. No, I mean, the law does not, I believe, restrict anybody if you qualify to apply for this. So, with this, there is another comment. Connect with me.
That's me.
Okay, right. Okay, so absolutely connect with Abdullah on LinkedIn, but he's inundated with a lot of inquiries that are again half booked. If you are prepared enough and you want to proceed, the word is quote unquote proceed, then there is a better chance of getting a response from Abdullah. Similar things with me. If you are contacting me and if you really want to proceed, then we would be able to help you in your journey, in getting the process streamlined and everything. With that, please come and join us next week, same time, same place, LinkedIn. We will announce it the way we announced this one. And if you know anyone who might be interested in this podcast, please share this podcast so that the message reaches out to people who are still struggling in finding credible information about their potential to Canada. With that, thank you very much. Hamas Siddiqui and Abdullah signing off from Canada, and wish you a very, very good weekend.